Welcome back to our Pride Special. It is often called the best day of your life, your wedding day. But for those identifying as LGBTQ, the opportunity to even have that day wasn't reality in New York State until 2011. This month marks the 10th anniversary since marriage equality passed in Albany. Opposition was strong and the fight raged on across the country until 2015, when the Supreme Court ruled bans on same-sex marriage unconstitutional. Some raced to the altar, securing rights they had long been denied as same-sex couples, and a new industry was born too. But in the last year, it faced new challenges with the COVID-19 pandemic. We introduce you now to two couples who have to wait just a little bit longer to say I do. Manhattan's Edison Ballroom, a blank slate now. But soon, on October 9th, flowers native to the Philippines will decorate tables. Sounds from a string quartet will echo through the space, and 300 guests will crowd the dance floor, all to celebrate Preston Gabay and Leonard Signey, more than a year after what was originally planned. The grooms-to-be met on a dating app 4 years ago. Preston popped the question over FaceTime in October 2019, and a wedding date of September 26, 2020 was set. And then it came, and then it went.
I sent an email and I was like, I don't think it's gonna happen. I really don't. I think we're gonna have to postpone. But if you prefer... Jason, wedding planner, wrote back and was like, are you sure? Do you wanna hold off? And I'm like, no, it's gonna be bad.
The registered nurse saw the devastation COVID-19 caused firsthand and knew it wasn't a time for celebration. As the pandemic raged on, couples all over the world were forced to cancel or postpone their weddings. An entire industry upended.
For me, I just knew that the most important thing was to own the situation for couples.
Right.
They look to a planner to really be the guide during all of this. And even though I didn't have all the answers, to sometimes even just say that, like, we don't know, so we all just need to relax at this moment. And whenever you feel stressed, just remember that you have the person that you love, and at some point, you will have a wedding.
Preston and Leonard relied on the support of their planner, knowing postponing was the only option.
It was not a time for personal disappointment. Obviously, you're allowed to feel what you feel, but we felt like it was our duty to reschedule.
I think this is more elegant.
Agreed.
This is where
These feelings echoed by Ryan Joseph Newcomb and Sumi Jimpana, another couple forced to pivot.
It's been 14 months.
I think. Long time.
With everything going on, we had a sense of perspective that this is crazy. There's just so much going on, and folks are losing their loved ones and family. So while we wanted to celebrate, we also knew that there were just other things that we needed to really take into account.
Although it's been a roller coaster of a year to plan a wedding, what is not lost on him or his partner is the ability to marry. June 24th, 2021 will mark the 10th anniversary of marriage equality in New York State.
Ayes 33, nays 29.
By the time it passed, marriage for same-sex couples was legal in only 5 other states. The bill passed in the state assembly in 2007 and 2009, only to be rejected both times by the Senate, until 2011. Behind the fight was Assemblymember Danny O'Donnell. To him, it wasn't just politics, it was personal.
I made it very personal with my colleagues, so if they were going to vote no, they weren't voting no on a bill, they were voting against me and John. From the very beginning, John would go to events, so all my colleagues would see us together. One of my colleagues once said to me, "What's the last thing you do at night?" I said, "I call John and say goodnight." He said, "Well, you're already married." I said, "Well, then why can't I get the piece of paper?"
O'Donnell and his husband John met in college in 1978 and have been together for more than 40 years. Marriage to them and other same-sex couples meant they'd be afforded certain protections and rights that heterosexual couples had the moment they signed their license, like tax breaks or not getting turned away at the hospital should one of them need care. Along with State Senator Tom Duane and Assemblywoman Deborah Glick, O'Donnell worked to gain bipartisan support for the bill.
Deborah and I went on a mission to convert 50 votes. I kept a color-coded chart, green for yes, red for no. And every week I went to the leadership and said, here's this week's vote count. It really made my reputation in Albany. It's a victory that will never be matched in my political career.
After the Assembly passed it, the Senate chamber was jammed. The halls were filled. I mean, there were many straight allies. They were in tears. It was a remarkable change in where we had been just, 10 years before, where we couldn't get a vote on basic civil rights in the Senate.
Efforts to legalize same-sex marriage started in the 1990s, decades before it passed in New York and became law of the land in 2015 with a landmark 5-4 Supreme Court ruling. In 1995, several states had laws on the books defining that marriage was between, quote, one man and one woman. In 1996, then-President Bill Clinton signed the Defense of Marriage Act into law, paving the way for states to easily deny marriage equality. And in 2000, voters in Nebraska and California approved banning same-sex marriage. 2002, voters in Nevada follow suit. But then in 2003, the Massachusetts Supreme Court rules that the Constitution gives gay and lesbian couples the right to marry. The fight picked up steam on both sides. As LGBTQ couples begin marrying in the Bay State, more than a dozen other states approved constitutional amendments banning same-sex marriage. In 2011, Governor Andrew Cuomo signed the Marriage Equality Act into law in New York State, becoming the largest state to recognize these unions. And on June 26, 2015, the U.S. Supreme Court rules all state bans on same-sex marriage unconstitutional, changing lives, families, and the wedding industry forever.
Being a gay man myself and an out, proud, open, outspoken gay person, I think for a lot of people it was just a comfortable place to land. They knew they could trust me, they knew that I would honor their celebration, and they knew that it would be a positive experience without any sort of like, oh, this is weird or this is strange, which is not.
Jove Meyer is a wedding and event planner, working with Ryan and Sumi as they plan their big day at the Rainbow Room. He's been planning weddings since 2008 and says marriage equality changed his life and his business. 2020 was shaping up to be the best year of his career until the pandemic hit. Meyer says some of his couples outright canceled, some postponed, and others couldn't wait, like Ryan and Sumi. Although they pushed the party to later this year, they did legally marry in a mini-moni last fall.
The reason we actually went through and got married was with the political climate, with how turbulent everything was.
Supreme Court.
With the passing of RBG, even if it was that 1% chance that something could happen, that just goes to show how quickly things can change.
Yeah.
Things that we all take for granted can be changed overnight.
Meyer says Ryan and Sumi aren't the first same-sex clients of his to do this in the last year. With marriage equality a relatively new right for the LGBTQ community, many couples moved forward in any way possible, hosting virtual celebrations and micro-weddings, with hopes of protecting their rights as a tumultuous election loomed and with a shift in the Supreme Court. As planners, Meyer and Kahn say the industry still has a lot to learn. Both are working toward making it more inclusive, encouraging vendors to change language on paperwork, and for big box stores to provide more options for same-sex couples.
All weddings require budget management, planning a menu, picking out invitations, and then there are certain things that are really specific to same-sex couples. There is no guidebook to how you would stage couples walking down the aisle when there's two grooms or two brides.
Perfect.
A wedding is a wedding is a wedding is a wedding. We didn't fight for marriage equality to have a gay wedding. We fought for marriage equality to have a wedding. Our industry as a whole needs a reboot. We need to reignite creativity and stop assuming everyone is straight and really celebrate couples for who they are. Throw authentic celebrations that reflect a couple's love story. Regardless of their gender, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, age, none of that matters in terms of how we throw a party.
And party they will. A return to normalcy for every industry is just around the corner. And for Preston and Leonard and Ryan and Sumi, both couples can't wait to share their love in front of family and friends from far and wide.
It's not just a wedding celebration.
Yeah.
It's more of a welcome back celebration. I think it's a welcome back for us. It's a welcome back to see
To New York.
To New York.
It's not really about us anymore. I don't think it ever really was. I think our wedding is meant to be like a huge party for everyone. And I think now there's like a healing component to it because I think people are gonna really feel that kind of release that they haven't had in a long time.
Congratulations to the happy couples. They and thousands like them have persevered through some difficult challenges. And that's really the story of the entire LGBTQIA+ community. It's a group that stands up for itself and demands equality on gender, race, sexual orientation, workplace rights, access to health care, human rights, and much, much more. While there are still so many battles to fight, so much progress has been made in 2021, and that's something to celebrate with pride. I'm Frank Tilella. Thank you for watching, and of course, happy Pride.